Ooh, ominous black screen on stream. Boom, transition into main four camps. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome
I
to the
was so
stream.
we are on now.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
Yes, Anish.
For like the 200th time.
We are now live. Thank you everyone for joining in. We're so excited to be streaming today. We've got a lot to talk about today, and I'm super excited to share, first things first, we want to talk about the community event, how great it was, some of the turnout, this was this event was far larger than I had initially anticipated it would have been. So I'm super happy that the community had such a great participation rate and such a great turnout. We have some talks about with our Twitch drop, which is now enabled, by the way. So starting right now, the Twitch drop is live. So first 15 minutes, you get that gumball, and then 30 minutes into the stream, a total of 45 minutes in, you'll be getting the community crew Blanko. First Blanko designed by the community. So excited. And then two other things we're going to be looking into, which we hadn't initially planned to do, but we're so excited to be able to share is future roadmap and our Q&A session. So with that being said, everybody, if you'd like to introduce yourselves to our community for any of our new members or new viewers, Anish, we can start with you.
Hey, Anish here. Basically, it's EP on the game. So responsible for making sure you guys get all the things that you need and in an order that we can achieve. So good to be here and excited to be on the stream.
Sweet. I am Rizzo, and I'm the lead producer. And yeah, I'm responsible for helping to get all the features into the game and working with the producers to get all the features in the game and working with design and art and all of those teams to make things fun.
Fun. I like fun. My name is Josh, the Foreman. Guys, I saw this character in our game and I liked him so much I decided to style my hair after him. So
Is that what happened?
yeah. So my focus is on build mode and gameplay type stuff, and I can speak to some of that today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Giving us the community time from your busy schedules as well today. I really appreciate it. And with that, let's just jump straight into it with our first point of talks today, the community crew event. Officially closed out, starting today, running until June 13th, 12 p.m. PDT. We'll have drops enabled for anybody that's streaming Blankos Block Party. You can only claim one of these community crew Blankos per account, so keep that in mind. And one important note to share regarding this drop is you have to have claimed your Blankos in game by June 17th at 12 p.m. PDT. If you haven't, sorry. That's it. That's the final date. If you haven't claimed it by then, you've missed out on your community crew Blanko. With that being said, for those of you who haven't been able to see the community crew Blanko yet, I'm going to throw it up right now. This is Visage by Sorrel rocking the community crew accessory. And wow, that's so much bling. It looks so good. The art team did such a great job. I absolutely love it. This accessory will only be given to the top 5 players from our event. We want this to be kind of like a big deal owning this accessory, right? You've done so great. You've participated in our community. You became a key member of community. We're looking into things for how we can give away this accessory in the future as well. So super excited to be able to share this and how the accessory will look on a Blanko. With that being said, I just want to give a heads up. First place is getting 2 copies of the community crew Blanko. They'll be getting mint number 1, mint number 6. Second place will be getting mint number 2. Third place will be getting mint number 3. Fourth place, mint number 4. Fifth place, mint number 5. They should have already received their rewards as of this morning. So big shout out to our teams for scrambling to get that done, getting those, reserved and ready to go. Major shout out.
Congrats, everybody.
Let's hope we see those in game pretty quickly.
I
Unbox
know.
those.
Unbox them and
I know nobody
mashups.
wants to.
Mashups are huge. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the mashups for these. I think it's
Don't
going to be
forget to
fun.
claim.
Yeah, don't forget to claim, right? So, once we hit, I want to say around 1250, it'll be around the time when people are starting to claim them, starting to unbox them, starting to mash them up. This is going to be super huge. I would just love to see all the iterations for this Blanko. And then I would love to see some of the screenshots for some of the creators
you
that
should.
got the
Yeah, Josh,
accessories.
you should do a event on Discord where people can share stuff.
I think we should.
Do it.
I'm gonna reach out to some people about getting something in terms of rewards for some mashup, like some mashups for this Blanko. I think
I
it'll
know,
be
and then
fun.
have a voting system so everybody can vote on it, and then just go.
For the best mashup.
Yeah, no, really.
I think that'd be great. I'll try to get something on paper for this.
See, this is how things happen.
A lot of community event stuff it's thrown into a tank and then shook around and quickly draw. So again, big shout out to everybody that participated in the event. We loved all the submissions. It was so much fun getting to review, getting to pick out some of our favorite designs. I think going forward, it would be absolutely awesome to run a community crew part 2 event.
Yes, please.
Maybe, either Blankos again, maybe accessories, maybe outfits, maybe jetpacks, maybe even other forms of, cosmetics we can think up. Anything we can think up of muster up in our heads. I would love to be able to run a community crew 2.0 soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I think wasn't there even a question in the Q&A, which I know we will get to, which was about how frequently will we run it, and I think it'll be worth putting that question out to the community itself, right? And
Right.
trying to see what that looks like. I mean, of course, there has to be a balance between what we can do from a development standpoint, given everything that we are accomplishing, plus balance that with what the community would also like, right? So absolutely.
And so again, major shout out, big thank you. Had a lot of fun with this. I'm gonna have to move us on to the next thing, before we take up too much time talking about the community crew event, which is something that I'm super, super excited to talk about is the roadmap. On screen now, we have a quick rundown of basically everything we want to cover when we want to cover it. Obviously, some of these things, will run into issues with development cycles, potential delays, maybe even sometimes we can get stuff out earlier. Who knows? But no
Absolutely.
promises. But yeah, this is just a general roadmap for everybody to take a look at. If you guys want to screenshot it, do your thing with it.
Yeah, and I think we will update this in the blog as well, right? As we put that out.
That is
so
correct.
it should be available. And connected to that, we also have plans to include the roadmap on. Now I'm committing stuff again, but on the blankos.com website as well in the near future. So
that'd
we'll
be
have
awesome.
a live roadmap that will continue to update. There we go.
Now he's done it.
Okay, we'll just
So-
continue to update it every week.
Every week? No. All right. So are we jumping into this, Josh?
Yes.
yeah.
Please.
Okay. So at the end of June, Rizzo and team have worked on a really solid update, and that takes care of a couple of broad things, 2 or 3 broad things, right? One is about what the experience is for new users, right? So as you know, we've gone through several iterations of it through this early access period, right? And many of you have been with us since alpha or before that. So you've seen those. What we've tried to get to is a fine balance for players who are coming in, who need to understand how to play the game, how to use the skills, where things are, right? And then be able to experience the 3 different core modes that we have, right? So wipe, collect, racing, and shooting. So we have an onboarding experience that is simple and clean, that can be skip past if you need to, come back to if you need to. So it gives that optionality so that you can go at it at the pace that you want, all with the intention of making sure that the retention of the game is high, right? And so, which is essential for us as we think about worldwide launch. So that's coming out. The second key vector is we want to make sure that the gameplay feels fun. And this is an ongoing process. You saw some major changes with MS35 Some of it was hard to get used to, which we acknowledge that. And I'm hoping that a lot of you've played through it and have gotten used to it, feel like it has actually helped gameplay, right? What we are tweaking on that front, based on some of the feedback we've listened to over the last few months, is that we have created improvements to drift jump, sprint, ledge mount. We've also taken into account the melee experience and how that feels. So I know there was we've been listening to your feedback about being able to jump and use the bat, right? Being able to use it more like a weapon rather than a skill. So that's being taken into account and being improved upon. The third key piece is tech improvements, and tech improvements with respect to what the gameplay experience feels like, because we've all felt the stutter, the jitters, the lag, hit registration, things like that. So we have a series of improvements that have been put into it. So I want to say this, which is that you are going to feel that difference as you play through this release that's coming at the end of June. Shooting is going to feel markedly different and markedly better, right? Compared to what we had. So, and yeah, so those are the big ones. And there is one more item, which is about in the game store, being able to see some of the SKUs from the marketplace that are trending or that are of best value and so on, right? So that when you go there, you're not only looking at what is available in the drop that is currently active, but also what the recent drop was or what is currently trending in the marketplace. So we're providing that access there. It will not be that you'll be able, it is not the case that you'll be able to convert or complete the purchase on marketplace, complete the marketplace purchase within the game context. That is something that we will get to in the future, but it'll at least give you an option to see what's going on and be able to go into the marketplace through your web browser. So that's the end of June update. I think that's going to have a big impact on the quality of gameplay and the experience. For Q3, there is a ton of stuff happening, right? We will have a live services release early in July or mid-July aroundish. That is going to be an event format for the Brawl, which will be without elimination. So it'll be a score-based, no elimination Brawl. So you go through the stages, you accumulate score, and the folks who end up being on top of the leaderboard at the end of it, or standings at the end of it with a score, will be winning. So that will be run as an event. Our goal is to, and for wanting to share more on this, our goal is to test that out with all of you, see how you feel about it, how the experience is, and then figure out what is it that we go with in the future as mainline experience. We're making a bunch of improvements to the whole desk scene. Rizzo, would you want to cover that piece? Some of the Launchpad stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have definitely heard everyone with regards to some of the things that have been buried previously. We obviously did that on purpose early on because we wanted to test out our Brawl mode. However, now we'd like to bring it back to the forefront again. So there'll be a mode select that players can utilize on the desk space where they can select between what area of the game they'd like to go into. For instance, if you want to go into Brawl, if you want to go into Party Bus, if you'd like to go into build mode, if you'd like to go into the junction, that will be within the desk space and not within submenus. Other areas of improvement that we're making are heavily around usability for the player, ways that you can access your inventory on that Blanko more easily and make it more readily available to the player. Easier ways of gem rushing, easier ways of grading up, really giving you access to your player and all of the things that you can do with them right there on the desk space.
So that's overall, it's going to make the experience of discovering things and getting to things far easier and more intuitive. So that's something that we're excited about as well. And, as we mentioned in the previous AMA as well, chat improvements are coming, right? And an update to the junction, which introduces purpose within junction, right? And we will continue to improve on both over the course of the next few months, but we want that social aspect to become more prominent in the game and to be a key aspect of why you play Blankos. The tag system was originally at the end of Q2, which is we were supposed to deliver that in June. So that is one of the things that we have ended up moving into Q3 because of more of the experience side of things that we wanted to resolve, right? But other than that, gameplay experience, like I mentioned before, will continue on. Every release, there will be a bunch of improvements to gameplay such that we can elevate the quality and polish around it. And then Q4 is where all the more deeper systems exist for midterm and long-term goals. That is around the fact that your crew actually gives a bonus or the ability to burn NFTs using NFT lifecycle systems in order to create currency that can be used for other purposes, as well as something that evaluates the collection that you have and assigns some sort of a score in the future, right? So being able to chase that score and that determines what the value of your collection is. So that those are systems that we want to get to towards the end of the year, and events are part of it. And the other aspect to it is we want to continue to improve on social to the extent that it's not just chat, but also that I can show off what I have to my other players, to my friends. I can see what they have, things like that, right? We want to be able to bring in those functionalities as well by the end of the year. There will be, having said that, our usual cadence of live services elements continue, but in Q3, towards the end of Q3, we will be putting a tremendous amount of marketing push. So that's something that will be exciting because it'll bring in a ton of players. So we will keep you posted on what that is and what that looks like within the next couple of dev streams. Yeah.
Awesome. One thing I kind of wanted to go back to was talks that happened in the section for June, where we were talking about gameplay improvements. I don't know if this would be Josh or Rizzo to weigh in on some of these things, but a little specifically, what direction we're moving in terms of the movement changes, the drift jump, sprint, ledge mount, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll give a little tee up for Josh. So obviously we are in an ongoing process looking at our gameplay, and some of the changes that we made at the early start of the year, we want to finesse and make feel better and make look better, so that that they kind of match the visuals of the visuals match how they feel, basically. So with that, I would love to pass it off to Josh to get into a little bit more of the details and design thinking around it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rizzo. Basically what we got out for Blanko Brawl with that big update was the version 1 of all these things. And in game design, you're constantly iterating on these things. On a big game that launches on a disc or whatever, right? People spend a year or 2 or 3 working on these systems, just in their own little place, and it's not on public display. So to some degree, you're kind of seeing how the sausage is made with this process. But what came out first was our first iteration, and we obviously plan to continue it. One of the really cool things that's different about the disc-based system of delivery is that we get to hear your feedback as it goes. And most of it was what we expected. But there's always these curveballs, and we're like, oh, actually, that's a good idea. Maybe we should adjust it this way or that way based on the feedback. So yeah, the big thing, the overwhelming response that we got from enough people to make it be yeah, we definitely want to adjust that, is the way the drift jump feels to a lot of people. They feel like they're flailing around and can't be really accurate with it. So the next iteration of that is we're experimenting with different animations for it, and we have 2 really strong contenders that we're kind of batting back and forth right now, both of which make people feel wow, this feels completely different, feels really good, and I'm in control. And so really excited to show that soon. In addition, just snappier animations for things like the ledge mount. It feels a lot more like you're doing a volitional thing, I'm popping up on here. And then another thing that kind of got mushy in our redesign system was the sprint. A lot of times people can't really tell when they're entering or exiting sprint. So we got a custom animation for that, and punched up the visual effects and stuff like that. So that's going to feel a lot better. And then sticking to the wall and the old animation for that we had was based on an old movement paradigm that we're moving away from. And so it was confusing to a lot of people that when you stick to a wall, you're kind of looking out and away from the wall. And so now we're just like putting your head up. So it's very clear, like intentionally what the Blanko is going to do when you're moving. So it's those sorts of just like little iterations that we make along the way. And I'm sure like, you know, what comes out next is going to be a lot better. And then we'll continue to refine from there based on your feedback and, you know, the direction that we're trying to move it. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I would love to kind of share with some of the players maybe later down the line, down the development process. Maybe we can share some clips of, you know, what the new drift jump feels like. And one question I did want to ask is, are we changing any of the values, maybe the height, the distance with drift jump, or was it a lot of just, you know, animation side things?
The vast majority is simply animation. Like we always we provide ourselves a little bit of wiggle room, like if we want to change things, but like if you go too far out of the windows that we set, then level design has to be completely, you know, refactored again. We really don't want to do that. You know, we put them at the numbers there for a lot of like very calculated reasons. And so it's really just a matter of seeing like, can we make what we have in there feel really great? And even without changing any of the numbers, just the animation makes a massive, like shockingly massive difference. So I'm excited for you guys to actually experience that.
It's amazing how, and a lot of people, even internally, when we've been playtesting, they're like, did you change values? Did you change values? No, we didn't change anything. It's literally like, Anish, I can't even tell you how many times you asked me that. But like, it literally is, it's a perception thing. Like when you update animations and visuals, and it can feel differently.
Yeah.
And play like better. The platforming experience has been really smooth lately with some of the changes. So I'm excited to get them out there, and maybe we'll drop a video on Discord in the next couple days or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
More
Drop
promises. Oh
Drop
boy.
it.
Well, you know,
I didn't promise anything. I said maybe.
I
It's
think
not
what would
promise.
be I think what would be really cool is I know it's kind of iffy, but maybe it's once we finish the process or, you know, leading up to the process, we do those small like mini developer work in progress videos of like different iterations or like new ideas for movement, right? Like that would be really cool. Maybe new mechanics in terms of movement or um you know, changes with some of our animation and, you know, showing off some of the things that we are working on or what we have worked on, what could have been, you know, we've seen a
See,
lot of great
I
positive
like what
feedback.
you're talking about, Josh. Let's do one next week. Can you
I
make
think
that happen, Josh?
I think we can. Yeah. If Rizzo, Josh, if the both of you are
You know,
comfortable.
I don't mind showing like a sneak behind the curtain, as long as like there's an understanding that, you know, people know that we're in development. So what they see may not be the final thing that they play. But it is absolutely something that we're open to. Like somebody might accidentally take a video while we're playing. I don't know.
Oh,
Accidentally.
accidental videos, accidental leaks with internal playtests happen all the time. Awesome. Thank you for that. That being said, one other thing I wanted to talk about was the Melee experience. What exactly do we have encompassed for the Melee experience?
Yeah, like so again, what we put out there with the bat was very much a version 1.0, and we kind of had to hack it in a sense. Like we smuggled it in with the skill system, and now that we have time to go back and revise it, we're making it an official like weapon-y weapon, so that you can use it while doing other things, flying, jumping, etc. And so right now we're kind of in that phase where we're trying to make sure that we're preserving an element of strategy with it, while also accommodating the very common tendency of many players to just button mash. Like for a lot of people, that's what they want to do, and that's how they enjoy a game. And that's why all the good games that have melee let you just mash, 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 and you just feel like you're just a total awesome warrior doing that, right? So we're trying to do both those things. It's kind of a fine line to walk. But we're thinking that, well, right now we've got a combo system in. So now instead of just doing swing, reset, it's going to be, swing, swing, and then like a bigger type of thing. And so we're trying to get some of that thing, like currently as it exists in the game, you could charge up your bat by holding the button and then you release to do a powerful thing. So that has some strategy elements to it. One of the things I was never happy with that, though, is that letting go of a button doesn't feel impactful as a strike, right? So we're trying to move more towards like getting that power up that you used to get with the hold button into the combo. So it's like the first hit is like a minor one with a little bit of damage and probably no knockback. The second one does a little bit more damage, and the third one is like your big thing. So you can still time it in a sense of like I'm running towards my opponent and I'm starting my swing combo, and by the time I get to them, I do the third one. So that's kind of the direction we're moving to. And then also we've got like the stub of a jump attack in. So yeah, and everything here is prefaced with like, this is what we're developing now. And when these things come out, it totally depends on so many factors. But
I can comment for you.
I think that's an approval, Josh. Just take that as an approval before we finished out the polish on that.
No,
Right.
it's not.
I'm pretty sure we skipped a few steps there, but yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that so much. This was kind of to also talking to other upcoming stuff because we mentioned Junction update. I don't know how much we can actually talk to it because this is planned for Q3. Is is there any detail we can share regarding this? Because Junction is something that a lot of players have been kind of excited to see make a comeback, right? Along with a few other things. So just wanted to know if there's anything we can clarify in terms of Junction updates.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this in a previous stream, and I think in our AMA as well, but we are looking to give Junction purpose again. We originally had, quests and what we call gigs inside of our Junction, and players could run around and go to different NPCs and chat with them and get various rewards. So we're looking at ways of bringing that back in meaningful ways. So think event-based things and bringing NPCs back and potentially like cooperative gigs and things like that. But Josh, I don't know if you want to add any more to that, because I probably just like stepped into like a few of the things you were going to say.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely the direction we want to go. The idea being like, as with all development on Blankos, it's like we're going to put out step one of that and be moving towards that. So I would expect like for you guys to experience first like seeing some new elements appearing in the Junction, not necessarily like the full system that we have in mind planned out, but the real goal is to have a like virtuous cycle where you're playing a brawl or whatever, you're going through levels, doing stuff, earning stuff that then allows you to do cool things in the Junction with your friends in a very cooperative, social way. And then that then feeds back into the playing the levels more. So you get a virtuous cycle there. And so, yeah, we're right now in the planning stages of getting that all set up, and I'm super excited about it because I'm a very like heavy co-op oriented personality type. I just love doing things with people cooperatively. So I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. One thing I want to add, because there was a question in the chat about, why did social update, which included chat and Junction, move out from Q2, right, into Q3? And the reality of it is that we did take on a lot of improvement work that we hadn't anticipated at the time. So we are now putting a lot of bandwidth into gameplay improvements in general and tech improvements that we hadn't originally anticipated to this degree, right? Because one of the things that we do want to hit, as I mentioned before, like as we think about worldwide launch, is we want the core gameplay to be really fun and of elevated quality, right? And that includes the tech issues associated with that as well. So we started putting effort into it. That was a little bit of a pivot between the last roadmap that we shared and what it is today. So what we were able to get into, what we are trying to do is to get both of those, the chat aspect as well as the Junction in mid Q3, right? So I'm looking at somewhere between August and early September. right? In that time frame. But again, it's a roadmap. As we put out the June 30th release, if we discover there are some things that we have to work on, that does take away bandwidth from the work that we would do to deliver the other stuff. So there is always a little bit of not complete fluidity, but some amount of flexibility that we need to be able to deliver the roadmap given the bandwidth and other concerns that we run into, right? So that's really it. But rest assured, both the social aspects are a key piece that we want to deliver and want to keep improving upon. So you will start seeing that from MS37 onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with all of the junction stuff that we just talked about, it will come in phases. We will, our first iteration of it is going to be pieces of the puzzle that of the bigger picture. So keep that in mind as you see some of those updates.
Awesome. Thank you for that, guys, so much. That being said, could we utilize this time to kind of segue into some of the Q&A stuff based off some of the things that we could potentially answer that may be brought up in terms of our roadmap thing, our
Sure.
roadmaps here. Give me a second to bring up those questions on my end. So we've kind of used our Discord's threads as a way for players to ask questions. We want to continue to do that. We want to build out a full list of potential questions we can answer for future streams. If your question isn't answered here, it may be because we don't have an answer yet, or it may be because we won't be able to get to it. So with that being said, let's dive right into this first question here. Anish, this one I think would be best for you to answer. This was shared by Chapter 69 on Discord. They asked, player-owned island floating around the junction?
All caps.
All caps. All caps. It was great. Like a small island with a protective force field covering it that only allows players with permissions to go inside.
And we could really only afford lower cap islands.
So I think the idea of player-owned islands is super interesting, right? And it almost feels like, well, if everybody had the opportunity to own a piece of, islands of their own, it essentially becomes a metaverse. So we should really be thinking about that, is all I would say at this point.
I mean,
it's a meeting.
Yeah. It's a really cool idea though, I think. Honestly, maybe even building that metaverse around future titles, just having your own island and displaying all your goods within. I'm just saying it just sounds like a really awesome place to start.
I agree. It's a good idea.
That's
all I can say at this time.
The next question here is aimed at Josh the Foreman. This was asked by Reiki on Discord. Will there be other kinds of rewards or earnings for builders in the future? For example, earnings for times your map gets played in Brawl, a code to receive Blanko bucks, moolah from other players, or builder-specific NFT if your map gets published into Brawl.
Yeah, these are all things that we have talked about, and it's just a matter of like getting those systems set up, getting the assets created. Sorry, by I don't mean yes, all of these things are happening. What I mean is yes, these are all ideas that we would love to implement and are actively working towards. Absolutely. Are we going to get all of them all at once? No guarantees on that, but in general, we understand, like here at Mythical, how vitally important the builders are to us, and that they need to be valorized and put up on a pedestal and shown to everyone as like these are like core pillars of our community. And so those are all things that we're talking about and asking how can we do that right now, because there's these two things, like what can we do now that is sort of a bootstrappy way to get across the basic idea versus like what are the systems we want to build that are going to do those sort of things. So speaking to the idea of like the more times your levels are played, the more your rewards scale. Like we can't do that manually right now, but yes, that's a great idea and we want to move towards that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. And, Josh, you and I have also had talks about that, like whole custom, like potentially in the future, that custom builders NFT that, we could potentially get out going. I mean, I would love to see it. I think the builders are great members of our community, and, everything to empower anybody who's a key member of the community, I think is absolutely amazing. The next question here, Josh, this is for you as well. This is from Ultraman Dam. Can you bring back the old casual single player mode, please? Any plans for co-op, story, or team versus modes?
Yeah, so we spoke to that a little bit earlier in that we're looking at a non-elimination version of Brawl. It'll have some other name, but I definitely feel that because a lot of people felt like once we introduced Brawl, suddenly we became a sweaty game, right? And as opposed to a casual like party game. And there were lots of very valid metrics that led us to go in that direction, but it wasn't one of those things where it's like we're fundamentally changing Blankos to be this other thing. It's like, let's try this other thing, see how it works. We still have that thing in our backlog, and now we're gonna like resurface that and do a lot of like really very precise, like following the metrics, seeing how people like these different things, and kind of charting our course from there. But it definitely, I'm super excited about this non-elimination brawl because it's pretty much what Party Bus was, but with a like incentive structure to it. So yeah, it's just going to be super fun. I can't wait for that.
And as we said earlier, we also have the mode select that will be coming up in the release a couple like it was like Q3, end of Q3 is what we said. Is that where we're surfacing the party bus again, so there will be ways for players to jump back in easily as opposed to diving into different menus for it. But the non-elimination brawl that Josh has talked about a little bit and Anish talked about a little bit, we'll test the waters with people with it as well. We'll bring it about in an event-based way and see what players think of it and get your feedback and decide whether we want to bring it into the system overall.
Thank you for that. Cool. Actually, Rizzo, thanks for speaking up because this question's aimed at you.
Sure.
This is from chapter 69. The cool mint number of Blankos seem to get forgotten when they're combined during a gem rush. Is there a way that maybe in the future we plan on putting mint numbers of the combined Blankos for gem rush on the box or, on the information of the Blanko? An example would be if a gem rush Blanko were created using number 111 of a Blanko and then number 69, nice, of a Blanko.
Some of our original thinking was to have like a history of where those Blankos have come from, with what their Blanko history is. But yeah, it's absolutely a great suggestion, and it's something that we'll put within our list of things to evaluate. But definitely also something that we've been talking about as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
And it's just to add context, it'll be interesting to see what outcomes it creates in terms of what players are looking for. But the reason that it's also something that we need to evaluate is that it's not just that we change it to show it on the box. It is also that it needs to show up on the marketplace. It needs to show up on OpenSea. That information needs to move from here all the way there. And so those things get tricky because, so that's really why we have to figure out when we do it and how we do it. So.
Got it. Thank you for that insight. And yeah, that is kind of like a bigger undertaking, right? When we're talking about these detailed descriptions coming through and where they need to be reflected. But yeah, it is definitely something that would be really cool to see in the future. This next question here is from Blanko God Josh. This is for you. Will hitmakers ever be given an exclusive non-NFT accessory? Right, we were just talking about this, but yeah, there were a lot of things we were talking about. Josh and myself. Josh, you had a lot of great suggestions. Maybe if you want to share some of those things that you had shared in some of the chats.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of things. The idea being like just some sort of the thematically appropriate thing to that builders, and only builders would have, only when you get featured are you allowed to get this thing, and that would just make it like super special. We talked about like a construction helmet or a tool belt, or even someone threw around the idea of the foreman hair, like you put on any Blanko, that'd be kind of hilarious. So yeah, I would definitely, talking along those lines. The someone mentioned like the balloon that you use to hover around when you're in build mode as a flight accessory. So yeah, lots of rich ideas there. I'm always open to ideas. Feel free to @me with your ideas on the build channel on Discord.
Awesome. Looking forward to it though. I mean, I would hope once, the art team is available to take on that workload again, like, because they've been everybody's just been so crazy busy, but I think it'd be awesome to see some of those new accessories come to life, and maybe even like a series of them for
Crazy busy making awesome things.
right. This next one's for you, Anish, from Chadsters. Will there be a mobile version of Blankos, since there will be a mobile version of NFL Rivals? They would love to play Blankos anywhere at any time.
So I think so the question really, I think, should be, would we like to have a mobile version of Blankos? The answer to that question is yes, we would like to have that. I think we need to go through our worldwide launch. We need to get established in our current game, and then look at alternative platforms to bring in more users and build the reach for Blankos. So really, our focus right now is working our way to the worldwide launch, right? So yes, at some point we would want that, right? And if things continue to go improve and become really good, then that's how we look at it as part of the strategy. Yeah. This was not a commit.
Not a commit.
Not a commit. Here we go, Rizzo. This one's for you. This is from KBTSC. Are you planning to release weapon NFTs? It would give a great layer of customization to our Blankos.
It would. So we definitely have had discussions around and are in the process of having discussions around working on a list of additional weapon ideas. Feel free to throw them out in Discord. We love hearing all of your weapon ideas as well.
Absolutely.
Especially while we're in our brainstorming phases, because it's perfect timing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, and something that we've discussed. So I'm not going to commit to anything, but I know that we will bring weapons about in a way, whether they're NFTs or not, is a discussion that we're still having.
Awesome. Maybe some golden
We want
bats.
to do it. Makes sense. Do it.
It does. Yeah.
Actually, kind of talking to more NFTs, right? More unique NFTs. This one came from Chadster Rizzo. How about a new category of NFTs? For instance, pet NFTs.
Wouldn't that be cool? So oddly enough, not oddly enough, because you all are definitely on the pulse of our game. So we've talked about these things in the past. So one of the original ideas about Blankos was that like we would down the line have pets that go along with your Blanko. I would personally love to have a pet squidgen on my shoulder every time I play, maybe on my head. I don't know. But it's absolutely a possibility and not something that we would ever throw out of our cards. So not at this time, but maybe down the line.
I would need a pet platypus. Unfortunately, the April Fool's hotfix nerfed them, right? No longer as menacing.
So cute.
I know I think some of the wildlife is pretty awesome that we have already. I would love to see the growth and then hopefully in the future some pets, having them like,
Yeah,
I mean,
would be
we've already got like step 1 with the summer camp party pass, right? With the squidgen armband. So for now, let's call that a pseudo pet.
There you go.
Next up, Anish, this is for you. This is from KBTSC. What milestones do you seek to achieve to be able to launch the full game and to launch season 1?
I think that's a good question, right? Because I think there's been a lot of chatter around, oh, when is worldwide launch, right? And it's not just that, oh, we need to get a bunch of stuff in, but it's also that, are we hitting specific metrics that we want to hit to be able to actually push the game out into worldwide launch? So speaking on those terms, we are looking at, we want really strong engagement and especially retention numbers. And so for those of you who are not aware of what retention actually stands for, it's essentially, if a certain number of people install in a certain day, how many of those people come back on day 2, day 3, day 7, day 14, and so on, right? So we want those numbers to go up, right? And that's why the updates that we're putting out at the end of June and early in Q3 are the ones that they are, because those are aimed towards creating that early engagement. And so having those come in will help push those numbers up, plus elevated gameplay quality, right? The user experience and the gameplay quality needs to be better. And so those are also pieces that we have in the roadmap that we are currently working on. These two, plus a way of distributing the game, because it's one thing to find blankos.com and then go in there, download the launcher, versus finding it on, say, another platform where you are already there, right? So we need to find and tie up with a partner there, so that'll allow for distribution. So I think these 3 major pieces need to come together for us to be able to go into worldwide launch. And there will be some interesting announcements towards the end of this month, so keep an eye out for those. I think it'll be exciting for everybody.
Oh, something sneaky's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of excited now. This next question here, something we talked about earlier. This is from Clark. When's the next community crew challenge? I'm all for it. I'm all for running another one. I guess one of the bigger issues would be, how do we make the next one stand out from the first one? Would we have to go to the art team to get a new accessory designed? Would we have to run a different style of event? Would we essentially maybe harping to that idea of NFT weapons, right? Have community design some NFT weapons, or have community design accessories. So make it stand out, but make it also kind of go in line with what we did previously with the Blankos.
Yeah. Well, one thing we had talked about that I'm really excited about the idea is a synergy between like a build mode competition and a Blanko competition. Either like people are doing a particular theme or partnership or something like that, or like, we have a player created Blanko right now, like let's do a build competition about where this character comes from, like his home base or whatever, something along those lines. I think would be really cool, and we want to do more of that in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? I guess really we could always run a poll, right?
Should.
We could always run a poll. We can always reach out to the community. I would love
But
for people to throw into the suggestions, tag me, and give me a heads up on, when you think would be the best time to see another community crew event, right? And maybe set that as a precedence for cadence on when and how often we want to run these events. Logistically, they are a decent amount of work, but I think that the results that we get from the work are absolutely stunning. I mean, I was absolutely floored by some of the creativity that we saw, and I'm gonna say it right now: the cat lady was my favorite. It's a lady suit with a bunch of cats controlling a person. Like, it was awesome. I'm just saying.
there was a lot of people that love that one in here.
Yeah, absolutely. But that being said, like, I still love Visage by Sorel. It's still an absolutely awesome Blanko.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just the sheer amount of creativity that this community has, right? We have so many builders, we have so many artists, it's just this melting pot of talent. And then there's me.
I saw chatter on Twitch about playing with the community, especially with the in the context of getting the play with the dev pin.
Yeah.
I'm literally poking someone about that
We-
right
we
now
gotta do it.
because I asked about that like a month or so ago, and they were like, "Yeah, we're working on that list, but we need to make sure that's hooked up."
Yeah, we need to do that.
I think it would be super fun, maybe as like a future idea for us to maybe be able to do bi-weekly streams at the end of our day on Fridays, or maybe midway through our days on Fridays, maybe like an hour to just play with community. We and then have those play with dev pins available. Whenever we get that going, I think it would be fun.
I'm
Absolutely
not particularly fond of being destroyed and shooting publicly.
You're doing better though. Those latest changes definitely help.
The latest changes, yes.
Blame the lag. blame it on lag. That's what everybody does.
No longer though.
Exactly.
This next question here. Actually, two questions, Rizzo, for you. These are from. I never know how to pronounce their name. They're on Discord. Matthew
Matthew
Srill.
Cyril.
Matthew Cyril.
Matthew Searle. It like literally sounds like somebody
Literally
Yeah.
Matthew
works for their
Cyril.
studio.
So the first question is, do you intend to bring use to cosmetics in the future?
It's a great suggestion. We will again add it to our list to evaluate. And hey, like when I say these things, it's mostly because we have a lot of things on our list. Anish talked about retention being a big goal of ours, and making sure that you all have plenty of players to play with, and a lot of the core loop things that we want to finish out. So we'll continue to hear your suggestions, and if it happens to be that something that we are working on, we'll let you know about it. But otherwise, it's absolutely something we would love to evaluate in the future, for sure.
Cool. And to kind of follow up with that, this is more potential, like what we have planned for the future kind of question. But is there a chance that we'll have exclusive gumballs for each party pass that are strictly tied to just that party pass? Something that players will not see ever in the store, will not see come around ever again. But it's just tied to that singular party pass. To provide Blankos with unique mashups. I
Also
can tell
another
by
great
that. Yeah.
suggestion. It's also another great suggestion. That I would say is definitely one that we've had conversations around as well. So not out of the realm of possibility in the future, near future, but absolutely something that's on the evaluation plate.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. I'm gonna jump into the next question here. This is from Silver. Any update on NFT NYC appearance, or if there will be an exclusive? Actually, yes, we will have a booth at NFT NYC this year. That you're more than welcome to visit if you're going to the convention. As for an exclusive, I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to say anything, but I do know we have a lot of stuff to give away at our booth. There's a lot of stuff
Some
being
of
given
us
away.
may even be there.
Yep. Some of us may even be there. Maybe even two people from the stream may be there. So, just a heads up to everybody that's out there, we will be at NFT NYC. There will be some pretty cool opportunities at NFT NYC to meet our team members, or to get some goodies, I want to say. And we will be having Nikki Davis as well at our booth, doing a live painting, I think, which is really really cool. So
They're always fun to watch.
yeah, so those, that's always something for you could look forward to if you plan on coming by. Actually, kind of speaking to NFT NYC, we will be there from June 20th to June 23rd. And yeah, again, there's also going to be activations, I believe, some QR code scanning. That'll be giving away some stuff, and maybe it would be nice to share this. I'm just gonna put this up on screen real quick so that we can kind of just talk about something that may be coming in terms of a major drop later this month. It is a slight teaser that I'm gonna drop for everybody here in chat. Um, I'm not gonna say don't screenshot it, but this is the only place we're gonna share it.
Now you're making me nervous.
Is on
What is
I
stream.
this?
know. What are you putting in the chat? I don't even
um,
know.
well, maybe not the chat, but it's just gonna be on the screen there for everybody to see. We do have Burberry X Blankos Part 2 coming. I can't share any details yet, but we are super excited for this huge partnership. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot of stuff we're going to be able to have more accessories, a really unique Blanko, and some other future updates for the junction as well, kind of tied around this as well. I'm gonna get us off of that right now. So that being said, please look forward to that. I'm super excited for it. It is a major drop. Kind of working on that drop has been exhilarating. There's been a lot of meetings, a lot of changes here and there with the drop itself, but it is some exciting things that we'll be seeing from this drop, and I think I think it's something to look forward to. Sorry, I got taken off track by the NFT NYC stuff. Do we have time for 2 or 3 more questions from
Sure.
everybody? All right, perfect. This one's for oh, it looks like I'm gonna kind of split these up here.
Sure, yeah.
So Rizzo, to you, this is from Two Heavens. Why don't we have more crew slots?
Yeah. So one of the things that was on a roadmap that Anish shared is working on crew bonus stuff, and with that, we are looking at increasing the number of slots for your crew. It's something that we're still looking into. Hasn't reached its final approvals and still needs like all of the engineering costing that goes with all of those things. But we absolutely are looking into that.
Awesome, thank you for that.
Yep.
This next one is from Doge Anish for you. If you're up for answering it, we've already talked about wallets.
Right.
Was there any other withdrawing option other than Uphold found? Are we still currently looking into it? And is there a time when we can provide an
Yeah.
update?
Unfortunately, we have evaluated a few partners, and those have not worked out, right? But we are continuing to, right? Because it is a problem that we want to solve. However, there are multiple issues that it's Blankos is one client to that particular service that is part of as Mythical as a whole. The new games will be using that, the marketplaces using that. So we want to find a solution that fits all of our use cases, and that's where it gets tricky. And we also don't want to have any liability in terms of not having KYC or things like that, right? So we want to make sure that everything is legit and above board, and that's where things get a little bit hard and complex, right, for multiple use cases. So still working on it. I know that the platform team's looking at that options, and so we hope to come back in the future with a solution to this. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Anish. Appreciate that. It's always a question that the
Trust
community
me,
asks.
I like to always give good news.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to, but yeah.
Appreciate the answer there. This last question's for you, Josh. This is asked by Chadsters. Will there be a battle royale mode one day?
So Blanko Brawl is a kind of battle royale. So I assume this is talking about more about like the literal like shrinking battlefield concept, right? That is absolutely a prop that has been designed and it is in the queue to be done. Again, like it's a really complicated one because it involves a lot of UX, it involves a lot of programming, it involves a lot of art. So like to get all of these balls rolling in the same direction is challenging given like how many things we're trying to improve right now. So I can't say when it's happening, but it's definitely like it's a proven formula. It's very fun. We're definitely going to do it at some point. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Josh. With that being said, I want to ask more questions, but we've gone a little over time, not too much, but a little bit to make up for drops not being enabled at the right exact time. Anish, Rizzo, Josh, thank you so much for sharing your time today. coming out on stream,
absolutely.
joining the community. It's absolutely fantastic and always awesome to have the three of you here.
Love it.
All three of you always give the best answers, always give the best insight, and seem to be the right people to bring up too for either commitments or
Well, let's keep the cadence going, right? We want to make sure that we touch base with the community on a regular basis and keep that going, right? And I think that's super useful to both us as well as I'm sure the community. So we're super excited to do this.
And it doesn't always have to be this sort of forum, like in the playing with the devs. I think that's a great forum, and I'm looking forward to that. So
also, I just got confirmation that that was good. The logo with the Burberry and the everything was good.
Oh,
Good.
good job. Good job.
It's a good
Oh,
thing.
who was it? Jay Cluster who said that? Oh, that's
Yeah.
an example of everyone being upset. Hey, you weren't far off from that. I was like, oh boy, wait, let me just double check on the side here.
He freaked out that I may have gone off the rails.
A teeny bit.
Oh man. Again, hey, thanks everybody for joining so much. I really appreciate the time that y'all spent with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all have a good one.
Super
Take
fun.
care. Take
Bye.
care. Thank you, community, for joining us. Bye.
Bye.